Hare Krishna, Sukirti Madhavi presenting you 108 important verses from Bhagavad Gita. As we all know, Bhagavad Gita has almost 700 verses, out of which 108 are very important and significant. So here is an endeavor to present in each session one of these 108 important verses and see what can we learn from these verses. To begin with, here is the first one, the first verse of the first chapter. Dhṛtarāṣṭra uvacha dharma-kṣetre Kurukṣetre samavedāyuyutsavaha māmakah pandavaśchaiva kim akurvat Sanjaya. Dhṛtarāṣṭra said, O Sanjay, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled at the place of pilgrimage at Kurukṣetra desiring to fight, what did they do? So this is how Bhagavad Gita begins, with a verse by Dhṛtarāṣṭra, not by Krishna, not by Arjuna, but by Dhṛtarāṣṭra, giving us the background or setting the scene of the entire Bhagavad Gita. And here is a conversation. So he is talking to his minister Sanjay about the account of what is happening at the battlefield. So let's break this verse and see what can we learn. The first word, Dhṛtarāṣṭra uvacha. Uvacha means spoke, and Dhṛtarāṣṭra. So Dhṛtarāṣṭra, if we do the breakup of this word, is composed of Dhrita and Rashtra. Dhrita represents attachment or a tendency to hold something very strongly, and Rashtra is kingdom. So actually Dhṛtarāṣṭra was so attached to his kingdom that he allowed the entire Mahabharat war to happen. And he was also equally attached to his son Duryodhan. So this attachment was stopping him from using his wisdom. And what happens to us also is sometimes attachment causes blindness. We become so attached that we ourselves fail to use Bhagavad Gita in our daily life and employ in our life and gain significance from that. So that is one difficulty and we need to be careful about. The other word here is dharma-kṣetre. So Kurukṣetra is referred to as dharma-kṣetra. It is described that hundreds and hundreds of years ago, there was this king whose name was Kuru, who was actually in the Kuru dynasty himself. And he went to this place which was that time known as Brahma-kṣetra, and he started plowing the land. To plow the land, he used Lord Shiva's bull and Yamraj's buffalo. When he was plowing the land, he was desirous of planting there 8 religious virtues. Those are truth, yoga, kindness, purity, charity, forgiveness, austerity, and celibacy. So he was preparing this land and Indra appeared there, and Indra wanted to know what is happening. So he said that he wanted a benediction that this land gets a name based on this King Kuru. And second thing, that anyone who dies here goes to heaven regardless of the sins or the virtues what he has performed. So initially Indra refused that, but then finally Indra was very happy with King Kuru and he gave this benediction that anyone who died there while fighting or performing penance, such a person would go to heaven. So that is how this place became a religious place. This place got its name after King Kuru and known as Kurukṣetra, and anyone who would die there basically fighting or performing austerity, he would go to the heaven. So now this battle which is about to begin is a dharma yuddha. It's the battle of dharma against adharma, and it was happening in Kurukṣetra. So that is why it is mentioned here, dharma-kṣetra. The next thing what we learn here is, if I protect dharma, dharma will protect me. If I take care of dharmic principles, then those same dharmic principles will become my shield and give me proper protection. Moving ahead, this verse, there is a word called māmakah pandavaśchaiva. So Dhṛtarāṣṭra is actually making a partition here. He is claiming that his sons are Kurus and he is dividing or bifurcating Pandavas. He's saying Mamaka means my sons and the sons of Pandavas. So he is actually separating Pandava from the family lineage itself. And this shows his mentality of being partial. So a king is supposed to treat all his citizens equally. He is not doing so. In fact, we can say that Dhṛtarāṣṭra is actually a passive villain because he is allowing his son to do all the abominable activities. So the king is the leader, and yet he is expected to be impartial, and yet he is partial here, and he is allowing his son to do all these sinful things. And from this, we need to remind ourselves that if I am in a leadership position, I share the responsibility for the mistakes of my subordinates. I am held responsible for that also. Then next we see Dhṛtarāṣṭra is asking a question. He is asking, Kim akurvat? What were they doing? What did they do? Now, people have gathered there to fight. They have gathered at the battlefield. Now, what type of question is this, that what did they do? It is just like the surgeon reaches the operation theatre and we start asking, so surgeon reached the operation theatre and then what did he do? Of course, he will do surgery unless there is some unique, uncommon condition. So now this Kim akurvata, this actually indicates the doubtful mentality of Dhṛtarāṣṭra. Dhṛtarāṣṭra was doubtful of the outcome of the battle. One, he did not wanted any compromise. So he was thinking that my sons desire the kingdom, and yet because this battle is happening at Kurukṣetra, which is also dharma-kṣetre, the place would not favor my sons. So now, will they win the battle? Or because of the influence of the holy place, and because Arjun and all the Pandavas are very righteous people, so maybe they may think that why to go for this bloodshed, and they come up with a compromise. So he was actually very doubtful that whether the place will have an impact and whether my sons would be victorious or not. So that doubt has been created, and that is why he is raising this question, Kim akurvat? He is eager to know. So similarly, we need to check ourselves, am I blindfolded due to some bodily attachment? So because he was so attached to his sons that he wanted his son to keep the kingdom for himself. And that is why he is doubtful, he is anxious, he is partial, he is actually blind to spirituality. So these are the learnings from the first shloka of Bhagavad Gita. We will come back again with the next shloka in this series of 108 important verses. Thank you, and leave your comments as how did you like this and what is your learning. Hare Krishna.